Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Introduce myself, my name is Dina Amelia. I am a student of the Faculty of Economics, Andalas University. In this video, I will explain the result of my research regarding optimizing the role of the millennial generation in overcoming the low digital media literacy in Indonesia. There are four stages of research which I will explain one by one. First, I will explain introduction, explain the background of the problem. Number two, method, explain the method used in the research. Number three, result, analysis of the result of time from the questionnaire. Number four, discussion, content, fact, and opinion that support the research. Next, first we will explain the introductions, explain the background of the problem. According to Suhardono, role according to social science means a function that is carried by someone when occupying position in a certain social structure. By occupying a certain position, a person can play his function because of the position he occupies. The millennial generation is one of the people with an important role in society. The millennial generation, or Generation Y, also known as Generation Me or Echo Boomers, is a demographic group cohort after Generation X. Social researchers often classify the generation born between 1980 and 2000 as the millennial generation. So it can be said that the millennial generation is today's young generation who are currently in the range of 50 until 24 years. What is striking about this millennial generation compared to previous generation is the use of technology and pop or music culture. The life of the millennial generation cannot be removed from technology, especially the internet. Entertainment has become a basic need for this generation. Based on previous research related to the role of the millennial generation in overcoming low digital literacy, there are several roles that have been carried by the millennial generation in overcoming low media literacy, one of which is increasing participatory culture. With regard to previous studies related to optimizing the role of the millennial generation in overcoming the low digital media literacy in Indonesia, Ajani Restianti examines digital literacy, a new challenge in media literacy. The next researchers, Catur Nugroho and Karisma Nasionalita, analyze the digital literacy index of adolescents in Indonesia. Then Novianto Puji Raharjo and Bagus Winarko discuss the analysis of digital literacy level of the millennial generation in the city of Surabaya in overcoming the spread of hoax. Furthermore, Rico Irwanto et al. Research on the application of digital literacy towards millennial anti-hoax university students of Bangka Belitung University. The last researcher, Esa Garcia et al. Examined the contribution of students as educational actor in facing low literacy on hoax news, actor or spectators. Based on our previous research and other literature review related to optimizing the role of the millennial generation in overcoming the low digital media literacy in Indonesia, no one has analyzed further the role of the millennial generation in overcoming the low level of digital media literacy, as well as policies and preventive effort from this millennial generation in overcoming the low level of digital media literacy in Indonesia. Therefore, the study aims to examine optimizing the role of the millennial generation in overcoming the low digital media literacy in Indonesia. After explain the background for this problem, we will explain the method used in the research. The research method used in this research is to use library research, or what is commonly referred to as library research, where to study whose objects of research is in the form of library works, whether in the form of books, article in mass media, scientific journal, or data collected statistical. The literature will be used to answer research problem which are useful for knowing the contribution made by students, where in this case students are educational actors in dealing with the low literacy of Fox news in this day and age. The nature of the study conduct is descriptive analysis, which provide education and understanding to the reader, and the type of data used in this research is primary data. This research is a type of quantitative descriptive research. The data analysis technique was carried by measuring the Likert scale. The Likert scale is a psychometric scale that is commonly used in questionnaires and is the most widely used scale in survey research method. The answer scale on the Likert scale use 1 until 5 scale calculation, namely strongly agree given a score of 5, agree given a score of 4, indecisive given a score of 3, disagree given a score of 2, strongly disagree score 1. Determination of the sample was carried using the purposive sampling method, which is distributing online questionnaires through groups on social media consisting of the millennial generation with an age range of 19 to 23 years at the Faculty of Economics, Andalas University. The questionnaire was filled out by 42 respondents. From the many questionnaires, the calculation of the number of female sex as many as 31 respondents and male as many as 11 respondents. Based on the result of filling out questionnaires by 42 respondents in this study, the data obtained by respondent by gender, namely female respondent, amount to 72% and male respondent were 25%. This result indicates that the female gender dominated the composition of the respondent in this study compared to the male gender. Okay, after we explain the method, we will explain the result, analysis of the result obtained from the questionnaire. Clearly and with the naked eye, we can clearly see that in this era of globalization, which is full of change and progress, one of the problems that is in the spotlight is the number of millennials who are easily consumed by fake news or hoax. Not without reasons, this could happen due to a lack of literacy culture or the millennial generation interest in reading. In Indonesia, for example, one example that we can see is that often the millennial generation of Indonesia, especially millennial of social media users who sometimes take an action that seem to attack in the form of blasphemy against individuals, groups, or institutions, and so on, even took the form of the attack is carried out on the basis of a misunderstanding in getting an issue or news that sometimes the blasphemy they give is merely a flow-up after seeing the bad comments of many people on an issue or news without reading the news, which is not necessarily the news that can be proven true. This phenomenon shows that the Indonesian millennial generation is still less literate in literacy culture. With a variety of hoax information appearing in digital media, respondents students of the Faculty of Economics Andalas University considered that the emergence of hoax information was indeed often found in digital media. Based on the result of the questionnaire, the level of possibility that someone can encounter hoax information can be seen in the following picture. By figure 2, we explain the percentage of hoax information occurrence from the result of the questionnaire distributed to 42 respondents. 18 respondents answered strongly agree with a percentage of 41%. 13 people agree with a percentage of 30%. For other people answer doubtful with a percentage of 9%, 1% answer disagree with a percentage of 2%, and 2 other people answer strongly disagree with a percentage of 4%. From the result of time, it can be interpreted that more than half of the respondents agree the hoax information content on social media is very large and tends to be easy to find. From the amount of hoax information found on social media, this indicates that the level of digital media literacy in Indonesia is very low. Some respondents considered that the low level of digital media literacy in Indonesia, which led to the emergence of hoax information that could trigger a misunderstanding, had to be addressed as soon as possible. In other words, digital media literacy in Indonesia must be improved. The following results show how well the millennial generation agree is overcoming the emergence of hoax information by increasing digital media literacy by figure 3. The figure 3 explains the effort to improve digital media literacy. From the data above, it is found that as many as 22 respondents with a percentage of 74% strongly agree with the option that digital media literacy needs to be improved. 3 respondents agree with a percentage of 6%. 1 respondent respond hesitantly with a percentage of 2%, and 2 other respondents with a percentage of 4% consider that digital media literacy in Indonesia does not need to be improved. That can be interpreted that almost all respondents agree with the option that efforts are needed to improve digital media literacy so that hoax information can be overcome. The contribution or role of students to the low literacy of hoax news has a very important role for the millennial generations. Students are one of the actors who have a mindset and knowledge that can be developed. Students are characterized as one of the intellectuals in the academic circle. Basically, students are able to select and sort out all information that is real or hoax. But nowadays, many students are apathetic about this due to their difference the other in the sense of only thinking about personal interests. Students should, on the basis of being able to choose and sort out all information, can act as a bridge of information for the wider community in order to guide the millennial generation and society in understanding a literacy culture on hoax news. Apathetic students like this should be given directions in playing an active role in channeling the literacy culture of hoax. Students who lack of contribution can enter a community or organization so that they can think critically and have a social spirit in order to create a sense of concern for others. The result of the questionnaire show that the millennial generation, especially students as intellectuals, have an important role in overcoming the low level of digital media literacy in Indonesia. This important role is channeled through digital technology-based educational media as a forum for students to learn, criticize, analyze, and issue creative ideas in formulating effective effort to overcome the low level of digital media literacy in Indonesia. Figure 4 shows the percentage of how important the role of students in overcoming low digital media literacy is. Based on the result of the questionnaire obtained, 27 respondents with a percentage of 62% considered that the role of students as the millennial generation was needed in overcoming the low level of digital media literacy in Indonesia. As for 6 respondents with a percentage of 13%, answer important. 3 other respondents with a percentage of 6% answer neutral, and 2 respondents with a percentage of 4% considered that the role of students was not needed in overcoming the low level of digital media literacy in Indonesia. Thus, it can be concluded that most respondents strongly agree that the role of students as the millennial generation is very much needed in effort to improve digital media literacy in Indonesia. Okay, after explaining the result, we will explain the discussions contains facts and opinions that support the research. The phenomenon of the circulation of hoax and fake news in Indonesia that has emerged and has become a hot topic in people's life in recent times show that the development of society, which was originally simpler, is leading to increasingly complex conditions of modernity. Today's society has entered a new culture that has not been fully realized what its strengths and weaknesses are. What people are experiencing today show that there is no understanding of how to use social media to take their positive side and how to avoid its negative impact. Social media that exists today has brought people to a wide area and almost limitless in communicating. Conditions that are not face-to-face but are quickly presented in delivering this message are growing rapidly and even tend to develop widely. Saying this condition, this is what some people who are less responsible for spreading hoax can take advantage of so that they can attack other people's personal interests for their own benefit or their group. Based on the result of data from the Indonesian Digital Report 220 released by Hot Suites, it is known that of the total population in Indonesia, it reaches 272 million and the number of active social media users is 160 million or 59%. The number of social media users is spread across various platforms including YouTube 88%, WhatsApp 84%, Facebook 82%, Instagram 79%. The existence and development of social media in the community will certainly bring so many new problems in society. Therefore, there is a need for an in-depth and comprehensive study of how to use social media properly. Because social media is a very open place for hoax news spreader, hoax news travel to the community so that the news spread as if without pressure from any party. For this reason, there needs to be a commitment between the government and educational actors, especially students, regarding Indonesian millennials' reading literacy. The emergence of this information phenomenon that is currently happening has caused people, especially the millennial generation, to easily believe in information of time without seeing the truth or looking for the source. The current challenge is that along with the rapid flow of media information, people are confused and unable to sort, select, and utilize the information they have obtained. Another problem that causes hoax to become increasingly difficult to control is the habit of most people who want to quickly share information. Indonesian people do have the characteristic of like to tell stories, so that this trait is also carried over in communicating using social media. In addition, it often happens to social media users who share information of time without checking its veracity. They also sometimes don't even know where the news came from or who was the first person to make the news. This condition makes many believe it immediately and hastily share the news or information with other users. Other users who received this information also had the same tendency as previous users, namely without looking further about the news information they received and immediately sharing the information they got. This continued until the news, which had not been validated for truth, had even become viral and trusted by the public. Saying the condition of the problem, what future will the current millennial generation get who have witnessed and even accessed and believe in the existence of false informations? With the current lack of knowledge of the millennial generation, the circulation of hoax and fake news in Indonesia through opinion polls is very easy to do. Therefore, education plays an important role in developing a literacy culture through activities that emphasize the aspect of socializing how to exist, as well as choosing useful programs according to the needs that become priorities in everyday life. This means that the millennial generation is expected to be even wiser in using social media. Like with social media, it is hoped that it can play an active role in preventing the emergence of hoax to increase public trust through more educative shows. Based on this, in an effort to prevent the spread of hoax that are currently happening, the government commitment is needed to foster a culture of literacy in Indonesia. At the same time, the millennial generation also need to educate themselves through the application of literacy culture independently, namely in the school, family, and community environment. Contribution from students as educational actors are also expected to play a more active and responsive role in instilling culture and civic values in the millennial generation, so that the millennial generation can become a more selective generation in processing the information of time. Therefore, students as one of the educational actor must be able to control our existing news, which in this case is not just criticizing, but also make a real contribution to make a good change or again of social control. Next, we discuss about the role of the millennial generation in overcoming the low level of digital media literacy in Indonesia. In the current era of globalization, the dissemination of information is very fast growing and developing in the community, which in this case, the development of technology which is now very developed so that it cannot be avoided or inevitable. With the assistance of increasingly sophisticated technology, it also impedes social media or what is commonly called social media as various types. In addition, the delivery of news can also be heard or known through online. This is what caused the current era or the news is very easy to spread without having a limit to access the existing news. Therefore, the delivery of news from ancient times compared to today's is very different. Where, of course, we all know in ancient time, the delivery of news can be heard through radio and televisions. Meanwhile, in these days and age, news is very easy to obtain or access without restrictions, which at this time can only be obtained through social media, which only requires an adequate internet connections. However, we cannot deny that social media, which was originally used as a tool to make it easier for someone to access someone for social interactions, has now been reversed. What is one example of the use of social media that has been reversed today is the spread of fake news or what is commonly called a hoax. Nowadays, there has been a lot of spreading of hoax news that is happening today, which is caused by the misuse of social media. One example of a hoax that had gone viral among the public was by eating onions that 3 times a day can cure the COVID-19 virus. In this case, the delivery of this news appears on social media accounts, which is where someone who has provided the narration has included hoax news. In responding to the case, the World Health Organization or WHO immediately confirmed or confirmed that there was not scientific evidence related to this. Of course, one of the examples above has enlightened us so that we do not use social media as a place to convey hoax news. Of course, as a student or student as the next generations of the nation must be able to bring change to the nation and state, which is able to compete with other countries in the world. Indonesia is currently facing enormous problem in all existing fields, be it economic, educational, social, moral, and so on. Currently, there are many negative impacts caused by technological development, which as explained above that the use of social media is currently using its function in a negative directions. For that, in this case, it must really carry out its role as the next generation of the nation. As for the effort made in overcoming or tackling the spread of hoax news that has been happening very much today, namely by fostering a culture of literacy, which is where literacy culture can be said as an activity that becomes a culture. Digital cultural literacy as a form of self-control is a solution to prevent cases of circulating hoax information from being repeated and increasing. Digital cultural literacy can be an effective way to deal with hoax information or news in the current era by introducing science of fake news, information verification procedure, and following up on information that might fall into the hoax category. In today's era, the boundaries between truth and lies are blurred as honesty and dishonesty, function and non-functions, make it a challenge for social media users. In addition, this digital cultural literacy is also contained in various existing programs, which in this case can shape the digital talents of Indonesian students. The most important steps in this case is in the form of the National Digital Literacy Movement, which aims to all levels of society. Apart from the National Digital Literacy Movement, students can also contribute to the prevention of hoax news by presenting a talk show which is conducted online via Zoom. The term that students can take in a talk show in dealing with hoax news is one of them, with the term student urgency in countering hoax news in digital literacy. The purpose of this term is to prevent hoax news from being easily disseminated. The hope of students through this term is that students as the next generation of the nation are able to become a good mouthpiece to the wider community. In addition, by holding a talk show with them, which is currently the COVID-19 pandemic, it can be said that more people are accessing information through social media, which in this case we cannot deny that people may believe or fall into hoax news, so that it will can certainly have a negative impact on the community itself. For this reason, we students as the nation's next generation must be able to contribute in increasing cultural literacy, where this aims to prevent the spread of hoax news. So next, the conclusions about the projects. Role according to social science means a function performed by a person when occupying a position in a certain social structure. By occupying a certain position, a person can play his function because of this position he occupies. One of those who play a role in society is the millennial generation. From the research that has been carried, the results are that around 62% of the millennial generation play an important role in effort to overcome the low level of digital media literacy in Indonesia. So that's my presentation. Thank you all.